We now have a better idea of what is required as Washington starts reopening. But before phase 2 begins, owners of barbershops and nail salons and all that, they have a lot to do. King 5's Kiera Elfallen is in Puyallup with more.
For starters, this is going to mean a lot of cleaning and sanitizing. So for businesses like barbershops and hair salons and tattoo parlors, they are going to have to follow a strict list of requirements in order to reopen and operate. So that includes hand washing, sanitation, mandatory social distancing. Workstations will be farther apart, and the number of people coming into each business will also be controlled. So if you are a business owner, know that there are going to be certain labor and industries guidelines you will need to follow, which include educating your staff on COVID-19 requirements. This will also include social distancing, wearing protective equipment like gloves or masks, and frequent hand washing. Each business must also have a COVID-19 safety plan and a designated supervisor to monitor these practices and the health of employees. There's also an entire list of additional procedures that these businesses will also need to follow. This includes primary front door access to businesses, 50% or lower client capacity, providing employees with training, sanitation and hygiene practice, and so much more. Things like shampoo bowl etiquette are also included, so some very specific to certain businesses. And they're also going to strongly encourage clients that come in to wear some sort of mask or face covering, something that's actually going to be mandatory for employees. So we know that this is a whole lot of information, but there is much more when it comes to that list of requirements. So if you want to see that, all you have to do is text the word you see on your screen, salons, to the number you see on your screen. That is 206-448-4545. From Puyallup, I'm Kiera Elfallen, King 5 News.
An online petition to delay the opening of hair salons and barbershops is actually getting a lot of attention. It's asking Governor Inslee to consider moving their services to phase 4, not phase 2, because of the struggle to get protective gear. They also say opening early might not actually help stylists financially. And so far, this petition has more than 4,000 signatures. The governor also released new rules for professional services like law offices, CPAs. Callie Greenberg has more from Linwood now.
Professional services are those places that have an office setting but still see clients or customers that come in from the outside world. Now, the governor has listed 29 requirements for these businesses, and they're listed in 3 different sections: how they should train employees, what the office should look like, and what happens if someone gets sick. Now, let's start with training for employees. Office workers, they should be trained in the company's business policies. That includes sanitation and social distancing guidelines. When it comes to what should happen in the office, each office needs to develop a comprehensive coronavirus control, mitigation, and recovery plan. They also need to have those safety guidelines visibly posted for employees. The office space will look far different. You're supposed to rearrange furniture to promote social distancing, and face shields or sneeze guards should be placed throughout the work site. Now, if an employee were to get sick, and to hopefully avoid employees coming to work sick, office workers, they should take their temperature every day before getting to work. If it's higher than 100.4 degrees, you should stay home. If you do develop symptoms, they expect you to let your employer know, and then that employer should contact whoever that employee had contact with, but they should keep that person's identity confidential. Now, to put this into perspective, there are 29 requirements, as I mentioned. I just briefly listed 8 of them. So there are a lot of things that businesses need to do. Here's the thing. Each business should have a COVID-19 supervisor. That is someone who is an expert on all 29 of these requirements and therefore can help enforce them in the office space. If there are any questions about these rules, people should reach out to the state's Business Response Center. In Linwood, Callie Greenberg, King 5 News.
Thank you, Callie. And personal and professional services can operate in counties that have been allowed to enter phase 2 early. Skamania County along the Oregon border, that's one of them. It also means restaurants there are allowed to serve in dining rooms at 50% capacity if social distancing and other guidelines can be followed. So yesterday, for instance, Walking Man Brewing in Stevenson got ready to let customers sit outside. The owners say they want to serve local people first.
We're super excited to welcome people back to our beer garden, but clearly safety is our first priority. So we just want to make sure that, yes, our locals and our local community feel safe, that they're able to come out and utilize our businesses again.
So i.e. they love to have everyone, flock there, but they just don't want to do it yet. It's a tourist draw every summer, Stevenson, but the mayor there and all these businesses are asking the rest of us to hold off from visiting until they're sort of get their feet under